I have prepared two tips and I have the nude color in. This is really neutral, so it doesn't matter what kind of shade of red or black or green, I will use it. I can use it no problem at all. So for this one will also help me if it comes to a salon strategy. I would choose the base that is camouflaging. I will have something neutral all over the nails and then I paint the flower. In this way I will be a little bit faster, of course, if I can do it depending on the client needs. The rest of the nails can also, of course, match our flower. Now, I have this color that is cured, 2 layers. I also buffed this after curing. Now, this step, the next step is not really necessary, is really up to you. If you're feeling confident with your painting, with the gel polish, you can skip this step and just go right away. But I would still recommend you maybe to start from the drawing according to our scheme, especially if you do this first time. So first of all, we're going to pick, this is our middle finger, this is our ring finger, and according to our scheme, I'm going to first draw the middle part of my flower here, and here I will just create 3 pointers where my petals will be. So here will be my first petal, and I can you see that is a little bit bigger than my nail, so just going like outside my nail. That will help me to work even if I will have really short nail. And this will be the second one. And I will also have enough space in here to fit a little bit of the third one, just like that. And then after this one, I'm going to have one more in here on top. Hope you're going to see it. So these pencils won't be visible at all. I'll just make it a little bit darker here so you will see it. And then in the corner here I will have my leaf, and this one will be black. My second nail, the petal is here in the corner, so you see it's nice and uneven. Just one petal in here, and from this one I will also have one bigger leaf in black, and here I will have one, and then I will have a little vein, and I will have one more petal. Again, won't be full. One is not even a petal, is the leaf. So this is my scheme, and these are the lines I'm going to follow when create my base. For painting these designs, I'm going to use 2 brushes. Can be a brush of your choice. One is a little bit bigger, one is a little bit smaller. So this one, a little bit longer, a little bit bigger. This is the detailer brush, is the brush Sales Choice that we use in to create maybe French manicure or help ourselves with the base application. And this one is really the detailer one, really nice and thin with the pointy, sharper hair. So this one, the bigger one, I'm going to use for my base and to create the shading. I would recommend you to use the smaller brushes than your big gel brushes when you're creating the first base layer, although we may tend to use a little bit bigger, but it's quite difficult when you're working on a small nail. So of course you can use something like the Tailor number 3 that is much bigger, but if you pick up the smaller brush, you will be able to create your design a little bit more even, because you will pick up a little bit less product. So let's start. And I have on my paper palette here this super bright neonish red. And I'm going to start with my middle finger. I'm picking up a little bit of the paint, of the gel in my case, and I'm going to first create my first petal. You see, because my nude underneath is really neutral, I can use this neon shade without any issues. So especially for the quickness of the salon design, try to use something neutral in your background. Of course, if you can, sometimes you don't, but you can see the layer is nice and even and fully covered our petal. And now we do the opposite. So we first painted our first 3 petals that we've created, we drew in our scheme. And once this one is done, we're going to cure it and then cure another one. Don't worry about the curing timing. because we have, first of all, really small amount of gel polish. So in this case, 30 seconds is enough. And the second, of course, we're going to cure one hand, and the same time we're going to paint another one. So I'm just covering this one perfectly. And I also have my ring finger. So the one hand will be painted, and then I'm going to move forward to my other hand. So this is the petal that I needed. Nice and even layer. Choose the color that will match your flower that you want to create. It's nice and bright. So this one has a little bit of pinkish in it. It's really nice and hot, but I think will look absolutely amazing when we tone this down with black. This one goes to the light for 30 seconds. The first part of our flower is cured, so now we need to fill in this petal, and this one and this one. Again, I'm picking up a little bit of product and starting up from the middle part, and my aim is not to really touch the previous petals, so to leave a little bit of space. If you won't be able to do it, it's absolutely fine. We'll try our best. But if you can, that will be great. That will help us later to create the shading without adding the extra bulk. So I'll just move the nails and my client's fingers. So we'll have less shaky hands. If you think, if you struggle with position on of your fingers or the tips, please go back to our Fine Lines Nail Art course. And if you never done this course before, you're just jumping straight into designs, please do so. These are the basics that will help you to create amazing look. Okie doke. So this is it. You see we have a little bit of space. This one goes to the light again for 30 seconds, and then we're going to add the black. Okay, now let's get into black. Black is here in my paper palette. This will be our base. Again, we're using the small amount of the product, and we just do the outline of just the base paint of our petal. You see, this color is really super pigmented, so I don't need to worry. There will be nice and even thin layer. If you don't have the nice black, what you can also use is, for example, the black paint gel, if you have one, the one that we will use for the fine lines. If you think that is a little bit too thick to paint this that even, you can, for example, mixing up a little bit with your top gel or the base gel to make it thinner. No problem at all. And here, this is what I'm going to do. And here I have also my leaf. These leaves are really simple if it comes to form. Our flower is nice and wavy, but this one can be nice and simple because inside our leaves we have a little bit more interesting things happen. And I'm going to create a little bit of heart shape here. And the connection I think will look nice. And here I have my another leaf. So you see, because it's a really small amount of product, self-levels really nicely, this gel polish, so I don't have any issues. And I don't need to worry that will spread outside the line because it's really, really small. So use the small brush for this one and you will better control your product. Okay, so this one is nearly painted. Excellent. So our base is nearly done. What we also need for our base, this will be the middle part. Let's paint it right away. Later we'll add the shading. We can go over our petals Try to make here a little bit more oval shape, not too rounded. Okay, I think will look great like this one. Let's cure it 30 seconds. Let's start to create our shading. What I'm going to start off is a little bit of my dulling down the black. The black is black gel polish, and a lot of black gel polishes from various brands. They're super pigmented. The pigment is super strong, and sometimes when we apply in the top gel and stuff, you will see these little black streaks, and I really want to avoid it just in case. I don't want to ruin my design, and I want to make sure I have only black where I want to. So what I would suggest you to do, if you don't want to have your top gel dirty and keep your designs nice and even, what you do after curing of the black, pick up your dry wipe and just touch it, just like that. You will see we have a little bit of color here, not too much, but it's wise to do that. In this case, you will remove the excess of the pigment and you'll be able to paint and create your design without any issues, just like that. Perfect. Now let's start with creating our shading for our petals. For this one, we need our black and we need our clear. This is our base and top that we've used, and I'm going to start with creating the shading in this section. So I'm going to make it a little bit 3D. What I'm going to do first, I'm going to pick up a little bit of my base and top and tiny amount of the black. And I want to create gray, but really, really light gray, really nice and semi-transparent. So you see tiny, tiny amount. I'm going to make two shades, 2 layers of shading to create it a little bit darker. I'm going to start first with the first one. So I'm going to follow the lines of my petals in here. You see, because it's really, really light, I don't need to really do any extra blend. I'm just applying the color here, and I'm already creating the shading. And here I will just create one line that will just go towards the edge of my petal in here, and here another one. You see, I've created already the shade. I'm going to do exactly the same in my other third. So my first petals that I've created, the first 3, are the main that will be on top. The rest will be hidden. So I'm adding a little bit of dark, and here I have a little bit of dark I need to add as well. What I will also add is a little bit of dark in the middle part of my top petals. Nice line. Perfect. If I see that I have maybe the line is too harsh and I want to spread it gently, you clean your brush so you have no product on your brush, and just with the tip with your brush you can move it around. But normally, if you have it light enough, it's not really necessary. So you see, I'm just gently touching, and I will do this one here. So you just don't want to have too harsh lines. So if you see that maybe your blending is too dark and you right away going into black, maybe you want to do it, but you shouldn't really. If you blend it for a little light gray, you'll be absolutely fine. And I will do exactly the same in this flower. But with this flower, I'm just going to create a little dot in here, a little bit darker. Maybe I don't have enough product. I'll just add a little bit more product. Okay. You can use for this blending any color, of course. It doesn't have to be black, but because I want to keep this design really simple, with just a super bright red, just added a little bit of shading. This one goes to the light for 10 seconds. Because this product is semi-transparent, the 10 seconds is all what I need to pre-cure this design, but of course I would do the second hand. So if that will be a little bit longer in the light, will be absolutely fine. What I'm going to do next, I'm going to add a little bit more base and top in here, and I'm going to add a little bit more black. We're talking about maybe 50-50 ratio for this one. So if we think about the quarters, the first one will be with the ratio 75% of the clear, 25% of the black, maybe even 20% of the black, and here will be roughly 50-50. Now just clean my brush, just wipe it and pick a smaller amount of product, really, really small, and I will go from the middle and I will just follow my previous line, but with just less amount of product. So I will still have my previous one visible and just added a little darker shading. Just like that. And shades just naturally comes out. So it's all about the mixing product. And here I've created the thinner line. I'm going to add a little bit more of the dark here on top. Just clean my brush and spread it. Just a little extra. So you see our super bright red becomes more dull. So this is why it's really important to use really bright color. And here in the middle, a little bit smaller amount as well. Here I have our underleaf, and here our under as well. So I'm just following my previous line with just a little bit less product, and now you can see that slightly our top 3 petals comes up and they're a little bit more visible, that they're coming into 3D. Once we add the extra detail, that will look really, really amazing. And you see everything is flat. Already looks 3D, but it is super flat. And I'm going to add this little shading in here as well. Perfect. And this one goes to the light for another 10 seconds. Our last touch of black before we'll move to creating the extra details for our leaves will be I will pick up a little bit more of black, add to my mixture, and this time the ratio will be 75% of my black and the 25% of the white. We're not using the clear, the pure black in here. That will be really important. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to follow with this mixture the outline. Is just the space that we created on the very beginning, the white one. We're going to cover this with our black. That will add the extra darkness in here. Perfect. But without really overwhelming our design. So we still need to remember that our poppy is red, not black. So it is important to keep a nice balance. That's why it's nice to leave it a little bit of space in between the petals, because it will be easier for us to fill this up later with the shading. What you can also do, you can also add a little bit extra around our middle part, just as a shading. This won't be as much visible when once we add the details. But I think it's nice, it looks a little bit more spreaded. And we'll add tiny bit more of the black, 75% of the black, just 25% of the clear in here. and maybe just a little bit on the top. Okay, that will be me done with the black. And now this one goes to the light for another 10 seconds before we will use our white mix. For my white, I'm going to mix the white with the clear as well. So I'm just going to pick up a little bit of the product, and we are talking roughly 50-50 as well with the ratio. Let's clean my brush, and we're going to start with adding the details. So to make it easier, I will first start with this leaf because it's nice and big, and you will see what I mean. What I'm going to start off, I'm going to create the line in the middle, but not straight line. You can see this one is a little bit more curved. I'm going to add a little bit more white because this one is not as visible. So you can play around with this one. This line doesn't have to be thin or perfect. Oh, now is better. So you see the line is nice and curved. It's not straight. And now we're going to create circles-like structure. Just going to draw it with our mixture of the white. This one doesn't have to be perfect or even. Just simple. What we want to see, we want to still see the black. And here, this will be opposite. A little bit smaller. This is perfect. Just a few little circles, and we're going to do the same in here. I'm going to move this finger aside. Just put it aside, and here I'm going to create the wavy line first. So it's not completely straight. And then I'm going to create my circles. It's not really a circle, it's oval more than circle. And they're not straight, they go in a little bit more diagonal as well. And sometimes you'll be able maybe to fit 2, sometimes you'll be able to fit 3, sometimes 4, just really depending on the nail. So it's no good or wrong in here. So let's add more to this one. Here we have one more, so let's add the middle part, and we have our, just make it big enough to make it visible, but at the same time small enough so you will still see the black. Otherwise it will be too gray, too washy, and with the black that will give us nice definition in this case. And here we'll have one more like that, and these two are going to the light for the 10 seconds. Now my background and my shading is completely done. The only thing that is left are my details and adding a little bit of sparkles. My details will be created with the liner gel white, the white paste, and we're going to do it on top of the top gel. To make it more visible, I'm going to use the matte top gel, but of course you can use the shiny one as well. We know that for the matte top gel, we can't really use a really thick layer of the matte top gel because then we may have the problems with the grayish look. And we can see from our painting with the gel polish, everything is not completely even, completely straight. So I'm going to use my base and top gel, which is my no sticky layer base and top, nice and thin layer, just to cover everything together and even this out before I will apply the matte top gel. Nice and thin layer, doesn't have to be too thick. And that will also connect all my shading together. It's already looking nice, but once we add details, will be just perfect. My base and top is cured, and now we're going to use the Extreme Matte Top Gel. I have a little tip for you. If you want to have your matte top gel even more matte, try to avoid the sticky layer from your base coat. And to do that, just wipe it. Wipe your base and top. before you apply the Extreme Matte Top Gel or any top gel, and you will have pure matte, because sometimes we have the product that has a little bit too much of the sticky layer, and that's a little bit of problematic, because once it's mixing with our matte top gel, that may gives you this shiny impression. So this one really looking for extreme matte. So I mixed my ingredients in a bottle. I shake the bottle well. Always shake your top gels bottles. Perfect. This one goes to the light for 60 seconds. Our details are going to be made with the liner gel white. This is the gel paste that I'm using for practically all of my designs and the fine lines and work like this one. You can, of course, use anything you've got if it comes to paste. If you're not sure what to look for when creating the fine lines and details work, please go back to the fine line course, and then you will find the lessons about the gel paints. I'm really explaining the difference between them and what to look for when you're choosing one. So I'm picking up a little bit of my liner gel and placing this on my paper palette. I'm not working straight from the jar because I really want to have a small amount of product. That's why I'm picking up a little bit more. And for my details, I'm going to use my blush brush. This is the thinner brush, and just load my brush with the paint. I'm not mixing my liner gel white, my paste, with any other product. I'm already working just straight from the jar, but if you struggle, of course, you can do that. You can mix it and just go back to the lessons and then a fine lines lesson, and you'll be able to create any details. So I have my Extreme Matte Top Gel over the nail, and I'm going to pick up a little bit of product, and I'm going to start with creating the shading, and I'm going to start from the petals that are on top. So I'm going to go over my first three nice and fine lines. Remember, these are to enhance your design and never to overtake. And we can see nice border between the white and the black. And now we're going to go over my top petal. I want to see the clear division between each petal. Going to make it a little bit further. And I'm going to create from here just little vein, and I'm going to follow my shading that I've created before. So before, from here, I had this little shade. So I'm following these lines, starting with a little triangle in here and just taking it down. And I'm doing exactly the same with all of my petals, starting from the middle in here. See, I'm creating a little bit more curved line, like in the anemone in here, to make it a little bit more interesting. I'll just put this little dot in the starting point as well in here. That looks nicer. Finish, and flipping the fingers gently so I can help myself. And here my another petal. This is perfect. Now for the middle part, I'm going to create tiny lines around my middle part. So where I did my shading, so it's not complete dots, it's more like a tiny lines with just the tip of my brush. They need to be uneven. Try to make them as uneven as possible, and they all going into direction towards the middle. So from outside they go into the middle, So if you need to change the position of the client's hands, just change it. That for me will be always a little bit more comfortable to work from the top to the bottom, but of course is really up to you. Whatever comfortable position you have that will work for you will be perfect. And we also have our little lines from here in the middle of our petals that we've created the shade in. Now I'm going to add a little more, and here as well. So I have my lines already, I don't need to think about this. I've created them with my shade, and let's add a little bit more. And now at this stage you can cure this. If you think that you don't want to move further, if you're not 100% sure, you can cure this and then go back to the leaf. But if you're feeling comfortable, you can continue with the leaf. And it's not really comfortable for me to do it like that because this is the edge of the nail, and I'm going to flip my client's hand upside down, so it'll be in this position, my client's hand. And then I'm going to continue with my leaf, and I'm going to start with the middle part. And then following the full line outside my leaf. This is it. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to, from the middle, create double lines. Just between my oval shape, this oval circle-like. And then opposite direction. Maybe we can add a little bit more in here. That is perfect. So our first part is done. And we have our ring finger to do as well. I'll just place this one in the light so I won't touch it. And then let's do our ring finger, and I'm going to start from this least comfortable. So will be from here my petal, from my poppy flower. So it's just the outline in here, is not too much. And here the middle part. And of course we have our leaves. So I'm starting up from the outlines, nice and thin. The middle line, so I have my shading, the white shading. I'm just enhancing it, just adding little extra in here. And then my lines. And in here and another 2 leaves. So here I've created this little heart-like shape, so I'm going to start with the middle and then I'm going to follow it. So starting here, and the same as me, you don't need to do it on a one go. If your line is breaking, then it's breaking. This was a really big element. So just do the one, you change the position, and then if you need it, you pick up a little bit more product and do the next one. And then of course what I need to do, I just need to add few veins in the middle of our leaf. So they just follow one next to another. I'm not covering my black stays there. Maybe I'll add just a few more in here. This is perfect, perfect. And here, and one more line, the middle part, and the veins between my oval shape. The last thing that is left, I need to have a little bit connection between my leaf in here and the flower. So what you do, you use this penciled in here line. So we're just going to create the line like this one. If you want to, you can just create one more, like a broken one, somewhere on the side as well. Why not? Just to make it a little bit more interesting. Kiddo, this one goes to the light as well. We have the last thing that is left for me is just to add in the sparkles. Of course, we can finish it like that. We can add the top gel with the glossy finish. We can do really whatever you like. But I wanted to make it a little bit more interesting, and I'm going to add my diamond dust top gel. I think that will look also amazing with, for example, cat eye silver, if you have something like that, or anything you fancy. And these are just the tiny sparkles. These are white sparkles over the inside the clear base. This top gel is great, and we're using this a lot for something like a baby boom, or maybe white nails, just to add it a little bit extra. So I've applied a little bit in the middle, and you see I'm gently spreading this. So I still want to see a little bit of black. I don't want to cover it completely, but I want to have these little sparkles in the middle. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pick up the small amount, and I'm just going to apply it inside my white circle bits. Just a little bit, thin layer. So that will just give us a little bit more dimension to our design, to make it a little bit more interesting, but not overpowering. So we not always want to add the full glitter, but sometimes we want to add just something to our design. And I think the diamond dust in here over these black leaves looks just amazing. It's just not taking over. It's just a tiny little touch of sparkles. I think for this one will also amazing looking any top gels with chameleon flakes, or as I mentioned, the cat eye top gel. Or if you don't have it, you can also mix your pigments. Pigment, for example, chrome pigment silver, with your base gel to get this little tiny silver effect. Looks just awesome in here. Just add a little bit more. Okie doke. And that will be us. The full curing time at the end of this design, if I have the white liner gel on top of the top gel, will be minimum 2 minutes. So I'm going to fully cure these designs for 2 minutes in my LED light, and I'll be ready to finish. The last little thing I'm going to add to my design will be the raindrops, and for this one you can use any top gel. You'll be looking for something that maybe has a little bit thicker consistency, and I'm going to use the Magic Shine. This is our top gel that we're using for our different types of chromes and pigments. And what you need for this one, you just need your brush, make sure it's nice and clean, and you need to be relatively fast. Okay, so what you do, you're just picking up your gel, place a dot somewhere in the petal, and just quickly place it in the light, just for a couple of seconds before you move into the next one. So in this case, you'll always have this nicely shaped dot. You see, just a little raindrop. Try not to make too many of them, Just 2-3 per nail is more than enough. So here it is, our end result with the really bright red carnation crescendo and a little bit of black over the nude. This is how I would present it to the client. That as an idea with just a little bit of sparkle on the leaves. But of course, feel free to add any details of your choice. Enjoy the process.